The idea for the book came, well, originally I wrote these letters to a young writer on the internet. It was Facebook, and I was sort of thinking about my students. I teach in New York, and I was thinking about my students, and I thought, oh, maybe I should address a letter to them via Facebook. But I'm not a very good internet person. But week after week after week, so the numbers kept growing on Facebook, and finally I decided, well, maybe I should put these together in a book. But more or less, it's really a letter to myself when I was a younger writer. It's a good question whether there's a vocation to being a writer or not. For me, absolutely there is. I mean, my vocation is that I want the world to change a little. I want the world to shift a little. I'm sort of engagé, I suppose we say, you know, socially conscious, and I don't believe that an author has to be that. I mean, you can just write something beautiful, and that beauty for beauty's sake is enough for me. But me personally, what I want is a sort of social engagement and a poetry to happen at the same time. So for me, yes, there is a vocation. The necessity to write comes from, I don't know, somewhere really deep within. It's like that burning desire that you have to say something. There's something on your mind that maybe you're obsessed by, and the only way to get rid of it is to write about it. Also, because you're curious, you want to ask yourself the questions that you don't yet know the answers to, and sometimes you don't know the answers at all, even after you've finished writing it, but at least you get a chance to explore it in a deep way. Books change and stories evolve. I feel like writing for me is like being an explorer. I go out to sea and I don't know where it is I'm going to go. I'm looking for a land, but I don't even know where the land is. And sometimes I capsize, sometimes I drown, sometimes I come back to shore. But every now and then I go out to sea and I drift away and I find a land. And it's kind of like a, I don't know, a Galapagos of the imagination. And you land on this Galapagos, and then you start to walk and you notice things. And there's a creature there, and there's another creature there, and they're characters. And from these characters, you develop a theory of human nature. And the story, you know, sort of explores itself from there. You know you're an explorer, you're not a tourist, and you're not even a traveler, but you're somebody who's trying to find a sort of brand new land. I think a writer has to write for the reader. I think it's incredibly important that she or he creates a landscape for the reader to go in there and to have their lives turned inside out, to knock the comfortable balance of a reader off for a while. Not necessarily to make them feel better, but sometimes to actually make them, you know, question things in a new way. In the end, the writer does it for herself or himself, but you know, your goal should be to, I don't know, open new landscapes for the reader. I think that the fear of the blank page is the real terror for a writer. You look at the page and it's blank. And so what people don't realize is that you know, a writer can look at the page and it's blank, and at the end of the day it can still be blank, but that doesn't matter. You've stayed with the blank page and you fought against it for maybe 3, 4, 5, sometimes 8 hours. You've still done a full day's work. But the only way you beat the blank page is you stare it down. You look at it and say, okay, we have a fight now. You and me, we have a fight, and I'm the one that's going to win. I'm not going to walk away, because you're not going to walk away either, but I will eventually write upon you. And you know, I don't really believe in writer's block. I think you have to, I mean, there is a point where writer's block comes into it, but you have to defeat the writer's block by staying in the chair. I say in my book that you have to put your ass in the chair, ass in the chair, ass in the chair. And that's what it is, you know. It's not going to happen if you're not there. What would my specific advice for French writers be? Well, I could be flippant and I'd say, you know, have a pint of Guinness instead of a glass of wine, or, you know, try a whiskey late at night. But really, I think I would say to the young French writers, don't stare in the navel, you know? Get out in the world, do something that doesn't compute, do something unusual, live your life hard and do something that nobody expects to do, and then come back. And you don't even have to write about her, but to live outside the life of a, you know, a stereotypical writer. What does that mean? To go work on a farm? Maybe. To join the Peace Corps? Maybe. To travel to Guatemala? Maybe. To, you know, take a bicycle across Siberia? Maybe. But something unusual that informs your writing and the rest of your life. And also, to French writers, I mean, you know, don't be quite so interior. Maybe, you know, expand outside yourself. But I would give the same advice to myself too.